Oh hey, it's Wes, and I have been remiss. Let me explain. A while back, I made a slightly sarcastic video about the launch of the Nikon D5. It was a hot take, a very hot take, very brief hot take. You can watch that here or there. However, I did not make a response about the launch of the Nikon Z or Z9. And normally, yeah, that would be perfectly normal, but the fact is, I have to eat some humble pie here, because I was expecting Nikon to be failing in shark-infested waters, and here is my hot take reaction to the Nikon Z9. Wow, you did it. You did it! Let me explain. As a Sony user, I am used to Sony pushing the envelope, moving that bar, getting ahead of everyone, introducing new technology, even before it was really ready, and bringing it to market. But this time around, Nikon did that. Now I am fully aware that Sony is probably fabbing that sensor for Nikon. I'm sorry, Nikon people. That just is what it is. Sony makes sensors for almost everyone except for maybe Canon and Samsung sometimes. However, for some reason, for whatever reason, Nikon is the first to do it, to make a high-end professional body with no mechanical shutter at all. As someone who has recently had the mechanical shutter replaced in their A7 III, I can express to you that that is an amazing innovation. Also, as somebody with an A9 who, whenever possible, uses their camera in electronic shutter mode, that is an amazing innovation. If you have not used a blackout-free electronic shutter yet, oh my goodness, prepare for your mind to be blown. And Nikon just took that mechanical shutter and threw it in the garbage. They have this new sensor with this massively fast scan speed that gets the job done with no mechanical shutter, even with flash sync. Now, the flash sync only works up to like 1/200th of a second, sometimes 1/250th, whereas with the A1, you can go to 1/400th or even 1/500th of a second if you're in APS-C mode. But still, the fact that they can do that and do HSS all the way up to 1/8000th of a second, amazing. The highest exposure speed is 1/32,000th of a second, which the A9, A9 II, and A1 have been doing for ages. Honestly, it's probably capable of going higher than that, but there is almost no practical reason or use case to use a shutter speed that fast. Because if you're using like a 1.2 lens on a bright and sunny day, exposing for the highlights, 1/32,000th kind of gets you there anyway, especially since this has a base ISO of 64 as opposed to 100. But I digress. Other great things that this does that Sony does not do, it has dual CF Express Type B cards. Now, I hear you saying Sony does have CF Express but Type A. Yeah, that's great. However, they didn't really live up to the promise that they made with that CF Express Type A port. We still only top out at 160GB cards, and they're crazy expensive, even the third-party ones. Whereas with the CF Express Type B cards, you can go as high as you want. Sky's the limit, for the most part. I think they go up to 2 TB now. And why is that important? Well, I mean, I only use 128GB cards, but if I had a 45 to 50 megapixel camera that shoots 30 to 120 frames per second, yeah, I know the 120 is just JPEG, but still, you can fill up that 160GB card in no time, especially if you're an action or bird photographer. The A1 is going to be pounding those very expensive cards full crazy fast. So unfortunately, that's a major disadvantage for Sony with their smaller bodies. They are stuck with those very small card sizes and high prices. Now I hear you saying, I'm a professional, or this theoretical person we're talking about is a professional. They can afford that. There are still costs, and spending $3,000 on memory cards, that could buy your business a lens instead, or $3,000 of advertising. There is a big difference there. And we all have to weigh our costs as business owners. And especially if you're going to be recording in 8K internally, you need a lot of space. So, credit where credit is due. Fantastic job, Nikon. Okay, footnote. I hear you saying, but the Sony A1 and the Canon R3 have better autofocus performance than the Nikon Z9. Okay, let me stop you right there. The autofocus performance in the Z9 is good enough. Okay, that might seem like a bit of a cop-out. And it is, to a degree. Because yes, there is a competition here. But in this day and age, with advanced autofocus systems, the autofocus in the Z9 is not unreliable by any stretch of the imagination. It is better than almost every other camera that precedes it, except for like 2 that cost more. So for the vast majority of people, even working professionals, the autofocus in the Z9 is more than adequate. It is impressive and it is mind-blowing, unless you have gotten used to an R3 or an A1, in which case it might be just a tiny bit underwhelming. But that's an awfully high bar. Fantastic work, Nikon. I hope you can stay in the game with this amazing innovation from the Z9. I hope you don't just rest on your laurels with this, and keep innovating and keep competing and keep taking some photos. Let's go.